So the New York Attorney General Letitia James has been hit with a legal blow. The FBI is criminally investigating her, and she just got heckled at her own town hall. Also, President Trump made two big announcements yesterday that is sparking a lot of backlash. Let's start here.
Yes, my question is for Tush James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be imprisoned for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming. We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless.
Yeah, so it's so great to see that. I'm glad that he confronted her, and I want to see her squirm. And the reason why I say that is because she based her entire career as the Attorney General on getting President Trump. And so she's the one that politicized this. Now, she went on to say this. Take a listen.
Either we fight for our democracy, my friends, or we lose it. It's tyranny or oligarchy, and I refuse to accept either option. So, and I will not sit idly by and allow them to trample on your rights. You elected me to stand up and defend the Constitution and the rule of law, not to protect and defend a king.
Okay, so what you just saw there was Letitia James. She's on stage with other AGs who are looking to fight back against the Trump administration. But there's only one problem. She's just been dealt a huge blow. The FBI is now investigating her over the mortgage fraud claims. Let me read this to you. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany have launched a criminal investigation into mortgage fraud claims against the New York Attorney General. A source familiar with the probe told The Post. And Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, who represents the district where the investigation was initiated, commended the FBI and Albany prosecutors. Quote, "The investigation into Letitia James is a vital step towards justice, and I will continue to fight to expose New York corruption, protect constitutional rights, and hold these failed Democrat leaders in New York accountable." Now, here is Jonathan Turley from Fox News and what he had to say.
Amplifying your message doesn't improve it, and I think part of the problem here is that what her team is saying is really quite laughable. You know, her lawyer and her team came out today and said, you know, this is all revenge because Trump campaigned on pursuing his opponents. James ran for her office based on a pledge to bag Trump on anything. She didn't even bother to state the crime. She just said, I'll find something and fill that blank in later. And so it's just really otherworldly to hear her team now making that same argument. But she better be worried that these investigators might apply the Letitia James standard, because her view was anything filed under your name is yours, and you are responsible. And any contradictions apply against you.
That's exactly right. We have to understand the type of person she is. She goes out in front of the cameras and cries about the rule of law, but then she admits that she campaigned on targeting President Trump. So is that really the rule of law, or is that weaponizing the justice system? Because I know she's going to complain about that as well. And she went on to MSNBC just moments ago to be interviewed by Jen Psaki. And if you ask me, it seems like Jen Psaki really did not want to ask her about these mortgage fraud claims and the fact that she's being investigated at the criminal level by the FBI. Take a listen.
I have to ask you, I mean, there were reports today that the Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation into real estate transactions that you're involved with. I'm not validating that in any way, but I wanted to just ask you if you've received a formal notice of that at this point.
No, not at all. These allegations, Jen, are baseless. They have been discredited, refuted. There was a letter that was prepared by my attorney that was sent to Pam Bondi, the United States Attorney General. And it's unfortunate that President Trump publicly attacked me a few days ago. And as a result of that, he telegraphed to the Department of Justice and to FBI that I should be targeted.
Okay, so she is just pathetic. All right. Now, before I go any further, please, if you guys have been getting value from our channel and this video in particular, like, share, and subscribe. You want to support us further, just go to the link in the description below. buy us a cup of coffee. And you can also listen to this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, and what she's doing is she's trying to claim that what President Trump said in the Oval Office 2 days ago is why the FBI is investigating her. But she's leaving out the fact that it was the housing agency, okay, who actually looked into this complaint that referred it to the FBI for investigation. And now the FBI is investigating it, just for all the people who want to hear the facts. Now, that clip that she's referring to, let's hear it for ourselves. Here's President Trump in the Oval Office 2 days ago saying this about Letitia James.
I can say unrelated to that, she's a disaster for New York. She's a horrible, horrible human being. And I think she's a total crook. There's no question about it. But that's just my opinion. Pam's going to have to do what she wants. She's a very bad person. She's a very, very bad person who campaigned solely on, I'm going to get Donald Trump over and over again. She's a sick person. But that's has nothing to do with what Pam does. Pam is going to do what's right.
And so at the end of the day, she can blame President Trump for why the FBI is investigating her, but she should be blaming herself for committing fraud on her mortgage applications, right? I think that's fair to say.
I think she's taking a play out of Donald Trump's playbook. You just deny everything and claim that it's some sort of conspiracy. The problem for Letitia James is this is no conspiracy at all. The evidence is pointing straight at her for making false statements, for getting mortgages and engaging in home buying processes that seem to have been a clear violation of the law. Now, that has to be deeply investigated. Steps that are need to be taken to ensure that responsible law enforcement tactics are done here, and that it's not targeted at her because of her position, but rather because of the facts that support it. So I think she's in big trouble, and I think that the people of New York need to not be paying for that.
See, there's three main issues with this entire story with her. One, she committed fraud on her mortgage applications. Two, she doesn't even live at the property she said she lived at. So from an election standpoint, she technically violated that. And then number three, they want taxpayers in New York to pay for her legal fees. Give me a break. Okay. Now let's go to our next story because this is interesting. You already know, I'm sure by now, that President Trump has nominated Judge Jeanine from Fox to be the acting U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. And mainstream media is just losing their mind, particularly CNN. Take a listen to this.
This is a defeat for Donald Trump, even if he's putting Jeanine Pirro there. This is the second time that Senate Democrats have actually pushed back on a nominee. I mean, Senate Republicans have pushed back on a nominee. It remains to be seen whether this is a part of a trend where Senate Republicans are really trying to claw back some of their power, which they've ceded. But Jeanine Pirro, the other question is this actually legal? Because already, Ed Martin was there as interim. Interim means 120 days. Does that mean that he can appoint another person for another 120 days? This is a big question, or will she have to be confirmed? And so can she be confirmed? There's a lot of questions still around this that aren't clear.
It's interesting how they act so surprised after President Trump warned them that he would go down this road in an effort to clean house in D.C. And that's why I'm going to warn you at this point, along with our sponsor, about your retirement. It's no secret that President Trump has declared a trade war with China. He's standing up to them finally. But this is not stopping billionaires like Warren Buffett from dumping $133 billion worth of stocks. That's why thousands of IRA and 401k savers are shielding their savings with gold. And I trust the experts at Colonial Metals Group to help you do the same. So head over to freegoldguide.com/Devori or call 1-888-757-5158 to receive a free gold guide on how to bulletproof your savings with gold tax-free. You could also qualify for a free home safe and $7,500 of free silver. Again, you can head to freegoldguide.com/Devori or call 1-888-757-5158 or click the link in the description below.
Sources are telling CNN and also telling you that President Trump is actually very seriously, strongly considering making Jeanine Pirro, the Fox host, who we should point out was a county district attorney. I think Westchester County years ago was a county district attorney. So she does have experience. Making her the interim U.S. attorney for the District of Columbia. She is an ex-prosecutor. This also comes as Trump has nominated Dr. Casey Means to be Surgeon General, even though she dropped out of her residency and hasn't had an active medical license since last year.
Okay, so before we get to Casey Means, because that's another story, by the way, in regards to Judge Jeanine getting this nomination, we first need to hear from President Trump and what was the rationale behind all this. Now, bottom line up front, guys, he knew this nomination was not going to get confirmed. So that's why he pulled it. That's the bottom line. Now, he's going to say it's not because Ed Martin did anything wrong and that he wasn't rejected. But in my opinion, he was rejected. And maybe, just maybe, President Trump felt he did not actually have the leverage here as he normally would. But here is what the president said. Take a listen.
Yeah, but he's a terrific person, and he wasn't getting the support from people that I thought. You know, he's done a very good job. Crime is down 25% in D.C. During his period of time. I'm very disappointed in that, but I have so many different things that I'm doing now with the trade. You know, I'm one person. I can only make, boom, I can only lift that little phone so many times in a day. But we have somebody else that will be great. I just want to say Ed is unbelievable, and hopefully we can bring him into, whether it's DOJ or whatever, in some capacity, because really outstanding. To me, it was disappointing, I'll be honest. I have to be straight. I was disappointed. A lot of people were disappointed. But that's the way it works sometimes, you know. That's the way it works. And he wasn't rejected, but we felt it would be hard. And we have somebody else that we'll be announcing over the next 2 days who's going to be great.
And sure enough, later on in the day, the president posted this. Ed Martin has done an amazing job as interim U.S. attorney and will be moving to the DOJ as the new director of the Weaponization Working Group, associate deputy attorney general, and pardon attorney. In these highly important roles, Ed will make sure we finally investigate the weaponization of our government under the Biden regime and provide much needed justice for its victims. Congratulations, Ed. And here was this post announcing the nomination of Judge Jeanine Pirro. I just want to fast forward to her experience here, okay? Jeanine was an assistant district attorney for Westchester County, New York, and then went on to serve as county judge and district attorney, where she was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. During her time in office, Jeanine was a powerful crusader for victims of crime. Her establishment of the Domestic Violence Bureau in her prosecutor's office was the first in the nation. Jeanine is incredibly well qualified for this position. Now, of course, President Trump believes that. I believe it. I'm sure you believe it. But you know who doesn't? Take a guess. MSNBC. Take a listen.
It is so wild how when it comes time to find a person to staff the government, the president of the United States is like, who's on my TV box? How about them?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's central to the appointment. I mean, it's not a side consideration. It's the main consideration. At least when he's paying attention to who he's appointing. Keep in mind, not everyone he appoints he knows. For instance, the Surgeon General, apparently he met 2 days ago for the first time. But in this case, I believe this is something like the 23rd appointment that has some sort of tie to Fox News. And, you know, I think that's part of what Trump is going for. He doesn't see these people as, you know, bureaucrats or people who are designed to advance the administration's agenda through legislation, or in this case, through advocacy in the courts. He sees them as people who will do well on TV, or at least can do well on TV. And that's kind of the defining feature of this presidency, is it's a public presentation day in and day out.
Okay, so the fact of the matter is this. If we follow their logic that President Trump is picking people who have been on TV, that doesn't remove the fact that she is qualified. Majority of the people on TV usually have the qualifications. That's why they got on TV to begin with. You think Fox News is hiring someone who's never served as a judge or an attorney to have a show on Fox News about the law? I mean, come on, give me a break, right? So I just think it's funny that that's the angle that MSNBC is choosing to run with. And it's all anti-Trump rhetoric, as we would expect. And so this takes us to the next story, and that is Casey Means, who has now been nominated as the Surgeon General. And I'm going to tell you right now, there are just competing narratives right after this announcement took place. A lot of people going back and forth online. You heard a little bit about how Jake Tapper felt about it. Let's continue that clip and show you the rest of what he had to say about Casey. Take a listen.
Trump today saying he took the recommendation of HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Give us some background on all the machinations going on here.
Sure, a couple of things. So Casey Means' name actually was initially in circulation for Surgeon General right after the election, and a lot of people around RFK threw water on it and said cold water on it and suggested this wasn't going to happen. Obviously, Casey Means was not chosen, but it's not surprising that the HHS secretary ended up back there. He has a relationship with the Means siblings. Callie Means actually worked with the Trump campaign as well, even before RFK endorsed the president. So this is not a surprise. It does tell me that they are having some issues with certain staffing holes.
Yeah, so that's what you would expect mainstream media to say because, again, they don't align with RFK Jr. These people lean left. Dr. Casey Means is now in Trump world, and so she's aligned with him. And so they will go after her in any way that they can. That's the reality, which prompted Secretary Kennedy to put this post up. He said the Surgeon General is a symbol of moral authority who stands against the financial and institutional gravities that tend to corporatize medicine. Casey Means was born to hold this job. She will provide our country with the ethical guidance, wisdom, and gold standard medical advice, even when it challenges popular orthodoxies. She will be a juggernaut against the ossified medical conventions that have helped make our people the sickest in the world at the highest cost per capita. Casey is a breath of fresh air, and we can't wait for her to get started. And let's actually hear a little bit more details on this from Leland on News Nation. Take a look.
President Trump pulled the nomination for Dr. Jeanette Neshwat for Surgeon General because she played fast and loose with her credentials. She's a nice woman, I know her. But she's not exactly at the forefront of medicine in America. She's best known for her hits on Fox News. Trump replaced her with Casey Means, his new Surgeon General nominee. She's an RFK acolyte, former campaign advisor, best known for wellness influencing, and a well-known author. Her medical license is inactive, and Trump didn't seem to know much about her.
Can you explain why you picked her to be America's top doctor?
Because Bobby thought she was fantastic. She's she's a brilliant woman who went through Stanford, and as I understand it, she basically wanted to be an academic as opposed to a surgeon. I think she graduated first in her class at Stanford, and Bobby really thought she was great. I don't know her. I listened to the recommendation of Bobby. I met her yesterday and once before.
Yeah, so the president is being honest. He didn't know her. This is a pure recommendation from Bobby, which is how President Trump has treated RFK Jr. since the beginning, which is, hey, this is your wheelhouse. You do what you need to do. Just don't play around in this area, right? I mean, that's been his attitude this entire time. So I don't know why people are shocked that Casey Means was recommended to President Trump. I mean, come on, can we be real here? However, there's another side to this, not what mainstream media is saying. It's what people on the right are saying, that she's not qualified. She's a plant. They're actually there because RFK has been compromised. And Nicole Shanahan is not in support of this. Remember, Nicole Shanahan was RFK Jr.'s running mate. So what is really going on here? Well, let's first hear from RFK Jr. himself in his interview last night with Fox News. Take a listen.
Casey Means, we felt, was the best person to really bring the vision of MAHA to the American public. She has this unique capacity to articulate it. She's written a book that really mobilized, galvanized the movement. She is an extraordinary. She is excellence in everything that she's ever endeavored.
Obviously, she's come under her own criticism about some of the things she's advocated for. She never finished her residency, and she doesn't currently have an active medical license. But that's not.
She was the very top of her medical class at Stanford. She's during her residency, she won every award that she could win. She walked away from traditional medicine because she was not curing patients. She couldn't get anybody within her profession to look at the nutrition contributions to illness. And she said, if we're really going to heal people, if we're healers, we can't just be making our life about building new procedures. We actually have to figure out new approaches to medicine. And that's the kind of leadership that she's going to bring to our country.
Okay, so let's just shoot it to you straight. Let's remove the politics and the conspiracies around Casey Means and just look at her on paper. Her biggest weakness is she does not have an active medical license. And the reason why that's a big deal in this climate today is because every single Surgeon General dating back to 1871 has had a medical license. But I'm not too sure the American people are going to look past this. And honestly, it probably doesn't really matter because this is a Senate confirmation. So will the people in the Senate look past this? And for the record, she's not required to hold a medical license, people. I hope I made that clear as well. So yes, it's a weakness on paper if you're talking about someone's qualifications and the history of the Surgeon General, but by law, she's not required to have one.
And last thing on this, your former running mate weighed in today saying that she wasn't happy about this and said that you're somehow being controlled. Your decisions are being controlled. That's what she posted.
Listen, you guys sitting here, 4 people who were all canceled during COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
Of these people are, you've got the entire leadership of this agency is renegades who are juggernauts against convention and who are trying to look for truth no matter what the cost.
So nobody's controlling your
Casey
decision.
is among those.
Now, here's Jillian Michaels, who I would say is one of the leading advocates in this whole Maha movement, and what she had to say about this. Take a listen.
Is it fair that I am skeptical of this?
Well, based on what you know of her, I would say sure. But if I could fill you in a bit more, I don't think you'll be skeptical when we're done talking. So the first thing is that Casey did, in fact, go to Stanford Medical School. She was president of her class. She graduated with honors. If I could just list for you some of the awards that she received in academia, and it's so much I actually had to write them down. The Young Alumni Achievement Award, the Excellence in Basic Science Award, first place, the Gold Humanism Honor Society inductee for Clinical Excellence and Compassion, Excellence in Human Biology at Stanford Undergrad Honor. Leland, this is a woman who literally was.
Go ahead.
There's more. I'm not done.
Oh, no, I'm sure there's a lot. There's a saying in television about awards, but just hear me out here.
And that's the fact of the matter, people, is there's so much pushback from this nomination. And let's understand the differences here. We talked about Judge Jeanine. The difference is she was an actual attorney, a prosecutor, and a judge with lengthy experience in the law and hosted her own legal show on Fox News. Casey Means doesn't have that on her record. So I can't argue against the resistance. I can't argue what people are saying. And ultimately, it doesn't even matter what I think or what you think. It's what the Senate Republicans think, because they're the ones who are going to decide on this nomination. Now, I do want to know what you think about this entire show, because there was plenty of stuff we talked about. But I think the main one I want to hear from you on is Letitia James. She was confronted at her own town hall. The FBI is now criminally investigating her. And this is not a conspiracy, folks. This is real crimes that have been pointing to her as the culprit. So let me know what you guys think about all that in the comment section below. Now, yesterday, President Trump scored a historic win when he announced the first official trade agreement with the United Kingdom. But you got to see the way that the mainstream media reacted. It's just disheartening, to be honest with you. So if you miss out on that story and more stories from yesterday, all you have to do is click on that video because it's coming up right now.